Hi, today I'm going to share with you a tried and true recipe for my favorite bread, along with a little secret that will make all your baked goods, not just bread, softer, fluffier, and less crumbly. So stay with me. Let's get started. Crumble 20 grams of fresh yeast, add 30 g of sugar, and pour in warm water about Y-40 degrees Celsius. Or if you're using dry yeast, use 8 grams. Make sure to stir well so that the sugar and yeast fully dissolve in the water. Next, add 2 tablespoons of flour from the total amount to the yeast mixture. After that, stir well again and place it in a warm spot or leave it at room temperature for 15 to 30 minutes. In a warm place, the mixture will rise faster. Once the yeast mixture is risen, mix it with the remaining flour and add 10 g of salt. I had the flour already pre-sifted. I use a stand mixer to knead the dough, but you can also do it by hand. It will just take a bit longer. I knead until all the ingredients are fully combined. After that, I add 30 grams of oil in 2 stages. If you're kneading the dough by hand, it might seem too sticky at this stage. But don't add more flour or just a tiny bit, because after adding the oil, the dough will become much more elastic and will stop sticking to your hands. The dough should have a soft consistency, very tender and not sticky to your hands or spatula. I either dust the bowl with flour or lightly grease it with oil, then place the dough in it to rise. Shape the dough into a nice ball. Cover the dough with a kitchen towel or plastic wrap in place in a warm spot to rise for 30 minutes. After the dough has risen, we do the laminating. To start laminating the dough, lightly oil the surface of the table. Brush a small amount of oil on the dough as well. Be careful not to use too much. Gently stretch the dough from the center outwards to the edges. This is the secret to a perfect dough and delicious baked goods, because this process greatly improves the dough's texture. This process is useful not only for bread, but also for enriched dough. Like the kind used for sweet rolls or traditional Easter bread, it helps make the dough lighter, softer, and more airy. After stretching out the dough, fold it gently, then roll it up and shape it into a ball. Now you can see how full of air the dough is. It won't crumble when sliced, and the bread will stay soft for the next few days. Cover the dough again with plastic wrap and let it rise in a warm place for about 20 to 25 minutes. Next, we do the pre-shaping of the dough. This step helps the dough understand how it should expand and rise during baking. So please don't skip this process. Gently spread the dough out a bit with your hands, then fold it as shown in the video, and shape it into a ball again. Cover it with plastic wrap and let it rest for 10 minutes. Next, lightly oil your hands. First, stretch the dough gently with your hands, then use a rolling pin and roll it out to about 8 millimeters thick. During all dough stretching steps, try not to tear the dough, but if it does tear, don't worry, just do your best to avoid it when possible. It's also very important not to let the dough ferment longer than the indicated time. Over-fermentation can ruin the dough and affect the final result. After that, we roll up the dough, sealing it tightly as we go. Line the baking tin with parchment paper and place the dough inside. Cover it with plastic wrap and let it rise in a warm place for 45 minutes. Next, I dust the surface with flour and make 4 small cuts on top of the dough. Next, we place it into a preheated oven and bake for 40 to 45 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius. After about 30 minutes, once the crust is nicely golden, I place a piece of foil on top to prevent it from burning and continue baking for another 10 to 15 minutes. After 45 minutes of baking, I take the bread out of the oven and immediately remove it from the tin. I place it on a cooling rack so that steam can escape and no condensation forms. The bread turns out very soft, barely crumbles and stays fresh for several days. It doesn't go stale quickly and remains wonderfully tender. Thank you for watching and enjoy your meal.